Alright everyone, it's time for the Occult video 153, the Black Dog Legend. Now this is totally different from culture to culture. It's generally European in extraction, but not always, and there are dozens of different names associated with some of these various legendary creatures, various sorts. The concept of the black dog in the generic sense, it's associated with death, sometimes with good luck, sometimes with protection, sometimes benevolent, at other times strictly malevolent, at other times almost like a neutral, just sort of a specter or something like that. So you have things like Padfoot, which appears in the Harry Potter series. It's one of the things that I didn't include in one of my first videos in this whole playlist, which was on real magic in the Harry Potter series. Like, they have the Hand of Glory and some of these other things there. Other various, like the concept of the Lich or something like that. Padfoot is also there. I believe that Sirius Black sort of animal spirit of sorts it transforms into. That's actually a name from sort of the, I believe from the Lancashire region actually, within English legend. You also have the Black Shuck and some of these other names. I remember sort of within, I think, the general New England tradition, taking off of the English tradition when people moved over to this side of the pond. Some of that was retained orally within tradition as well, and so you'll occasionally hear the concept of the black dog, the specific black dog, like the actual specter spoken of within sort of the pan-English diaspora folklore that comes over into New England and becomes common, especially within New Hampshire, parts of Vermont. Although some of it's got French inclusion, there's also a continental tradition about this sort of devilish being as well that sort of intermixes with it. And so generally speaking, whenever I've heard it spoken of by people who have never even been to England, by the way, what I've heard about this being is, first, it's referred to just as the black dog. It doesn't have any specific name like Padfoot or Black Shuck and some of these other names that come from the British Isles or continental Europe. It's more generic. Number two, typically what this being does in the traditions over here, as far as I've anecdotally heard, is appear before somebody's going to die. That is, in one of the legends, I can't remember which one of the dozens of legends this is referred to over there, in Europe, I mean. In one of them, if you see the black dog once, you get good luck. The second time you see it, you get bad luck. The third time you see it, you keel over. You get killed or something. Over here, I've never heard that specific variant. I've only heard if you see it that you die within a certain period of time. There's often, within American urban legend, oftentimes what you get is that some omen, some ill portent, it takes a certain amount of time to actually affect you. Like, yo, you've got a certain number of months or years to live after seeing this ghost girl or this black dog or something like that. And that seems to be a common fixture within U.S. legend at large with some of these things that happen. Or you played some spooky kids game, some Halloween game. Oh, we're gonna choose the next person. The first person to die will see something or something like that. It's almost a little bit of a mixture with fortune telling. It's more of a spectral thing over in Europe. Some of these, I believe, the name is the Grim or the Grim Dog, if I remember correctly. Guarding cemeteries, and that one's more benevolent, like just keeping the dead from being disinterred and stuff. Now, some of this, you could imagine if it's arising in certain periods of time, maybe that was to try to scare off drunken grave robbers or like college kids in medical schools from stealing the bodies to like dissect them or something like that. Sometimes it's a cautionary tale. It's like, a certain location is said to be cursed. The reason why that story arises is basically parental warning. Kids shouldn't be going to this cemetery at night because it's potentially dangerous. Not so much because spirits are going to get you, but because you shouldn't be wandering around at night. Or these narrow alleyways. Oh, the Black Shuck or something will get you if you're wandering around in these like poorly lit streets. Well, no, it's not going to be a black dog coming to get you. It might be a feral dog. That might be a problem. And when we go to the Philippines, you see something similar, by the way. Their idea of the aswang. It can take the form of a dog. And of course, I watched a documentary called The Aswang Phenomenon. You should definitely watch it. I'll link that in the description. You definitely watch it. It's very interesting. And if you look at the number of feral dogs in some of these districts in the Philippines, they're quite common. Well, yes, that could be potentially dangerous for small children. You know, an adult might not get attacked by some, mid-sized, hungry feral dog. They might leave them alone. It's like, well, I'll go eat something easy like a rat or something. But a small child, kids like 6, 7 years old, definitely able to be dragged off, or you get rabies into a dog population. That'd be an even bigger risk, I would think. So you have that phenomenon. So sometimes these things are strictly cautionary. Even the concept of haunting, sometimes applied, is basically, oh, that old mansion over there is haunted. Well, it's not haunted by spirits necessarily. It could have been. In some cases that people started saying that to keep their kids from wandering around. Maybe there's like an old electrical system. It could burst into flames at any time. The rafters are loose, could come crashing down on your head. You could end up getting locked in the basement, starved to death, nobody finds you. There could be like literally bats in the belfry. You get rabies from them or something. And so you're supposed to avoid these sort of regions, like the idea of funeral grounds being sort of accursed. Well, you don't want your kids seeing a bunch of recently deceased people or something like that. Don't go digging around in the graves. Respect the dead. You don't want to see what it looks like when it's bloated a little bit or something like that. Interesting aside, there was apparently an urban legend in the Connecticut River Valley for some time that people used to die during the winter. And so they would take their relatives, put them in the root cellar to keep them semi-preserved, and so they would tell the kids not to go down into the root cellar. Or they would say, oh, grandma's just sleeping, so she hibernates for the winter. That was the way, apparently back in like the pre-Victorian times, to keep the kids from worrying, because grandma, of course, was actually dead sitting in the same rocking chair, basically being refrigerated until the ground was able to be worked or something. This falls out of favor with mechanized digging, of course. As far as the black dog legends go, though, there are so many different variants, so many different specific names, it's almost like the legend arises and each community wants to claim it for their own purposes. Some of them, again, cautionary in nature, like the black shuck. Some of them are strictly benevolent. The generic black dog is either just an omen or just a guard. It's sort of taking off of that English tradition. It's also occasionally said, this is less common, that people of English extraction have this sort of spectral animal looking out for them. If they're seeing it, sometimes it's like a banshee, a warning that you're in danger, so that you know to be careful and avoid dangerous situations. Or it just happens to occasionally appear in their lives because they happen to be from some certain lineage or something. It's almost like a family tradition. And I've heard that too. And so it's a very interesting phenomenon. Yeah, I can't remember the church, but there's like apparently scorch marks on the front door, and they say, oh yeah, hundreds of years ago, like this headless dog just started pacing around the aisles, people were keeling over, and lightning struck the belfry, and then it scorched the door when it leaped out the door. And it's probably just lightning marks, but you get this sort of devilish myth. In other cases, this particular sort of spirit animal of sorts is referred to as the literal devil. That is, it's not the Grim or the Black Dog or Padfoot or something. It's the Satan in disguise. Satan appears as all sorts of things in some of these legends. A goat, a human of various sorts, and it depends on the era and the culture how he appears usually. A black dog, a large serpent, a dragon, a burning flame, or whatever it happens to be. And you get all this like spooky dooky imagery associated with this specific being, and it's often in animal form, and sometimes it happens to be a rather large hound. In some cases, when you're talking about a legend from half a millennium ago, you're talking about a cautionary tale, as in, yeah, there are feral dogs around here, we don't want our kids doing anything with them at night. Careful, it might be the devil in disguise, so stay away from them. And of course, during the day, you know, things are happy and sunny with flowers, and the kids are all like singing, and the parents are tilling the fields or doing whatever else they're doing. Not so much a danger to them, you know, these feral dogs in their community. At night, though, it gets a little bit more dangerous, potentially. A lot of people are asleep, so there might not be someone there to save you if one of these beings decides to grab your leg or grab you around the throat. And so oftentimes it's really cautionary. But you can just look up the Black Dog legend. You'll find innumerable amounts of material, really books and write-ups and blog posts and stuff, some of which are more reliable than others on the general phenomenon. That's about all. Peace out.